Thank you again for talking to me. One thing that we might as well jump into, a lot has been made of that phone call you got from Charlie Barron, and
Hmm.
I just wanted to put a little bit of context to it, to why he called and the conversation you had with him.
Well, as far as I can remember, during that time, a few weeks, I don't know exactly how many went by, and still nobody knew who did it and why. And but there obviously there must have been speculation, and already I'm sure that the police, they weren't saying very much. So everyone was just nervous and afraid and scared. People were hiring, security and bodyguards and uh, firearms that they were at their homes and stuff. And myself, I was very nervous and afraid because these were my friends. I was with Jay the Wednesday before at a place called the Factory. It was a nightclub like Club 54 in New York, and it was kind of a new thing. It was in West Hollywood on. It was in an old factory. You take a freight elevator up, and there was this great restaurant, dancing, and drinks. And so it was Wednesday night, and my wife and I, Olivia, uh, we were there, and we met Jay and his ex-wife Cammie, and that was a Wednesday night. And then uh, he mentioned about going to the weekend, I think, up. Anyway, we were supposed to get together, but he changed his plans because I think he was going up north to maybe his shop in San Francisco. Anyway, it was that Friday evening, Saturday a.m. when the murders took place. So uh, that was the last I saw of him. And that particular Monday,
Right.
Monday yeah, uh, Jay and I formed a guild, like a union, the International Hair Designers Guild, and we were able to get a bill passed in Sacramento, California, that said if you were a hairdresser, cosmetologist like Joe Torrenueva and Jay Sebring, and had been working for X amount of time, over a certain period of time, you were allowed to take a barber test without going to school, provided you pass it.
Right.
And so actually opened it up for all the barbers to work at the same space as a hairdresser. So today, barbers can work in the same room as a cosmetologist. Back then, you couldn't.
Wow.
Anyway, so that Monday, I went, after he passed, I went and I took the test and I passed. So now, I have both licenses and I could hire, you know, barbers or cosmetologists so we could all work in the same room. Like the people of today don't even realize how that happened. And it was, we were charging more money at that time and giving better haircuts. And the barbers were, they didn't like the fact that they thought that we were taking business from them. But we were just elevating the whole level of haircutting. So that's what Jay started all of this, making men look better, shampooing, conditioning, hair dryers, cutting wet, and using product on the hair. Back then they didn't.
Right.
So
Yeah.
basically that's that. And Jay Sebring, when I worked for him, he took me under his wing and he fed me all the clients. He would take me to Las Vegas with him and introduce me to all the people there. And one of the persons that I met there was Charlie Barron. He was vice president of the Sands Hotel. President of the Sands Hotel was Jack Intrater. And this was that's the Rat Pack years. And so Jay told them, if I can't come up here, Little Joe will take care of you. So I started cutting all these people when Jay couldn't, and I would cover for him. So Charlie and I, we became good friends. In fact, we were all friends. If Jay couldn't do them, I did them, and they felt very comfortable. I
Right.
was like 19 or 20 years old, and I kept my nose clean. They'd ask me whatever I wanted in Vegas, but I was underage, so I just did my job.
Right.
Anyway, when Charlie knew that I was close to Jay, and he knew that I was just nervous and afraid, and he called one day and he said, "Little Joe, you don't have anything to worry about. You didn't do anything to no one. No one's going to do anything to you." Basically, that was the call.
Right. Right. And so people make of that like Jay did something, but that's not what that meant at all, right?
No, not at all. I think at that he knew. I think people from the Beverly Hills Police or the police anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he must, since he knew Jay, he might have made a call and say, what's going on, and people, if they know you, they might have, they say, we're doing this, we're doing that, or what, and they gave him some information, and that's probably his comment to me. You didn't do anything to anyone. By that time, they might have known something was going on, but I wasn't involved in it. So, that made me feel comfortable. And, people have heard about that over the years. And like you said, maybe they thought something else.
Yeah. Well, most things are in this thing, it just a whole bunch of speculation seems to get heaped on everything. If there's the littlest bit of wiggle room in a statement, it gets blown overboard.
Yeah, that, and also the people start reporting to what their agenda, how they want to spin it. I guess
Yeah.
That's why I've done many interviews on a lot of things, and you just always have to be careful and choose and pick your words. But a lot of times, they might ask you in a certain way, and well, you might give them an answer. Well, this and that, and all of a sudden you think back. It wasn't really exactly that what I meant. I wish you would have put it this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's happened. That happens a lot.
Yeah, and that's why I think the context is so important, and that knowing that you were tight with Charlie Barron as well, kind of makes it a little less like it was just focused on Jay.
Yeah, he was a general in the Army Reserves, and he knew a lot of people in the military. There was another general, General Curtis LeMay,
Mm-hmm.
who was his friends, and a general like that knows a lot of people, and they meet people. You meet everyone when you're at that level, and so you just make a phone call and say, hey, give me the skinny on this, or what's going on, because I have friends that I know. I just want to make sure that they're okay. It could have been that.
Right. Sure. Sure. Another thing that gets thrown around a lot is Jay dealing drugs and stuff to that effect. Is there any light you can shed on that?
Okay, I knew Jay. I knew him very well. I had left him by that time.
Okay.
I left him in 1966.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would see him because we had this guild and we had meetings and stuff.
Yes.
And I would see him socially.
Yeah.
And I could tell you for a fact, or not for fact, but Jay wasn't that kind of man. He had too much going for him to dealing. What dealing means is that you're making phone calls. People are coming to you and on the sly or whatever. And I knew the man that much, and the way he kind of brought me up in the 3.5 years I was with him, there was none of that, because his business was just too important to be fooling with that. And can you imagine what would happen? I mean, he was trying to build this business with all these people having meetings and stuff, and you throw it on the wall and you see what sticks. And so the fact, even I mentioned, I think in one of the interviews, that he was bad business bad. Shame on me for saying that. I mean, I thought about it over the years, and I didn't. I said it. I didn't mean it that way, but when people have a business, they're making deals, right?
Yeah.
And most of them don't go through, and then that one does go through. But the people always talk about, hey, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But they don't realize what it takes. And I learned that when I started my business,
Right.
I was 23 years old, and I wanted a lot of things, like with products and stuff, and they didn't happen. To this day, I didn't pursue that, but I went a whole other road. But Jay was doing that, and it was happening. The top-notch people were doing that. But as far as the drugs, no. He had too much smarts to be. I mean, dealing. No. I mean, at that time, people say they smoke weed, they did stuff, but that's a whole other business. I mean, that you'd be doing,
Right.
And I never saw any part of that.
Well, great. Yeah, and I appreciate your insight on that.
I mean, doesn't it make sense to you? Here, he's on top of the world. The business is just about to pop, and he would be doing that? No. I knew him too well, and that I could say. I mean, for him to take me under his wing in confidence, I was this young guy that I just looked up to him. I admired him. I adored him. I gave him haircuts. He gave me haircuts. I mean, he fed. I mean, how did I get McQueen, Newman? I did the Grateful Dead, the Beach Boys. He gave me all these people. Henry Fonda, Robert Wagner, George Siegel. You name them. I did them, and I still do Robert Wagner, and I see him, and he's one of my oldest clients, 1963.
Wow, that's incredible.
Jay wouldn't throw all that away by, imagine if he got caught dealing,
Yeah.
He wouldn't. No, not at all.
Oh, that's great.
And when I've read that, it really hurt me.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the way they have portrayed him, it's just so sad. I mean, it's almost like we need somebody to put this on. They weren't going to put it on Sharon. Wojtek Frykowski really didn't have a name. Abigail Folger, of course, the family, and Stephen Parrott. None of those people. So Jay Sebring, he the publicity there. People go for the publicity. The stars, the notables.
Yeah, for sure.
People always want to interview me all the time, but they don't want me. They want the pictures on my wall.
Right.
They'll come up and they'll ask, well, hey, has so-and-so said anything about this or that? Oh, I see you do Robert Wagner. Does he ever talk about, and that really bothers me. And that's what they want. They don't want me that, I'm the conduit to get to those other people. And I know that. That's why I've been in business, all these years, and the people, respect me because I don't say much.
Right. You're not going to cash in on somebody else's name. That makes total sense, especially wanting
No,
to
like
keep your
Dominic
business.
Dunn used to call me and he says, LJ, or Little Joe, LJ, Nick here. Have you heard or anything like that? Because I get all the stuff, and so does he. And we were just great friends, Dominic Dunn and myself. And Jay Sebring made it possible that I got Dominic's hair. Just
Right.
the other day, his son, Griffin Dunn, and I spoke after all these years, because I cut Griffin's hair when he was a little boy, he and his brother Alex. And that's how long these relationships and all of these sons and daughters know of my relationship with their fathers, like Norman Lear and all of his family. I'm close with them,
Yeah. And that's amazing. All these names. My goodness, what a life. Um, so, did you know by chance Charlene McCaffrey, his assistant?
I did not.
Okay.
This is Jay's assistant.
Yeah, Jay's assistant or secretary, I believe.
Oh, that must have been after I left. Had to have been.
It's wild the impact that Jay had on hairstyling. Like you talk about, you guys revolutionized the whole industry, and that's like a footnote if it even is made into anything.
That's how a lot of these we could charge these prices today, because he started that back in 60, 61, 62, 63. He was already charging $35 and $50.
Right.
And we were charging $7.50 and $10, and the regular barbers were charging $1.25. So you could see the big difference there.
Right.
And so now, I mean, people are charging, my number's big for haircuts, and there's still people like way below me that say, "How do you do it?" And it's the consistency of good quality, knowing who you are, keeping your mouth closed, and just doing good work.
Right.
There was the fellow John Edwards that was running for president in 2007. I was the one that was flying all over, the United States cutting his hair, and he got in trouble for that. And also, he had an affair.
Oh,
But
no.
the whole. If you look up the Washington Post, 2007 in July.
Yeah.
John Edwards and Little Joe Torrenueva, or Joe, it was called a $500 haircut, and look that up, and you'll get a lot of stuff. That was a big one. This guy was running for president from North Carolina, and he blew it because he was having an affair. Plus, when you're running for president or anything like that, the other side is always looking for anything. So they looked over all of his bills and stuff. Okay, flowers, floors. So that's like $800. This and that. Haircuts, $500 every 2 weeks. $1,000, $1,200. What's this? Who is this guy? Why? And that's how things start.
Right. Yeah, they look for anything, like you say.
Yep.
Okay, so what are some things, I don't know, like if you were to speak on Jay and the things that you want to have out there about either pre or post what happened, what would you say? What would you want people to know?
Aside from being a trendsetter, he was decent to his workers. He was fair. He was that good cutting hair. He just knew. He knew what looked good on a person. Also, people they gravitated toward him. He had that persona of like he was a star, and when you'd see him, you'd feel it being around him. And what was great is I never felt any competition with him. You know, and a lot of the guys were in awe of him, but he respected me for my talents. When he hired me, I brought some models in, and I cut them, and he says, "Okay, I want to hire you." I had been there about a year before, or a year or two before, and I got a haircut, and I said, "This is the haircuts that I want to do." So anyway, we hit it off right away, and you usually shampoo for 6 months, and then you get like a chair and stuff like that. I shampooed for 2 weeks, and he already had me cutting.
Wow.
And then going with him, traveling with him, and introducing me to people. He says, "If I can't take care of you, little Joe will." And so that's, God, I wish more people could have met him, because every haircutter today owes it to Jay for men's haircutting. No men were shampooing their hair at that time and then getting it cut wet.
Right.
I mean, plus, look at all of the television shows and the movie stars that he cut. I've cut over 200 or 300 television shows, from Bob Barker, The Price is Right, Bill Bixby, The Hulk, and also Courtship of Eddie's Father, Jimmy Garner. Jay did Jimmy Garner, and then I was doing it, The $6 Million Man, Peter Falk, Ben Gazzara, Andy Williams, all of these people, all these shows. I mean, so people would see that, and did you see a movie called The Graduate?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
That was my haircut on Dustin Hoffman.
Wow.
Richard Gere, Brad Pitt, his first haircut. His first movie.
Wow.
So this is what Jay created. I mean, I went to New Orleans and I cut Charlie Bronson for Hard Times. Kirk Douglas. There's a movie called Wall Street with Michael Douglas.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my haircut with Gecko. He was the what do you call that? The stockbroker.
Right.
Charlie Sheen. Okay. For instance, even like Bruce Lee. Jay was responsible for that, and then I started cutting Bruce's hair, and he and I became close. And so I cut him, after Jay passed, and we were friends, and people see that haircut. Those are my haircuts on Bruce because Jay was already gone.
Right.
Bruce hadn't really made it yet, and so Enter the Dragon was my cut. What happened is that Jay passed and Bruce died also. Okay, these are two of my mentors, and the thing is that I still hold them way up there, right? And I'm not trying to copy them. What I'm doing is trying to keep their spirit and light alive by doing good work and not just doing the right thing. And people could tell you that I never was jealous or anything like that. I knew my talent. I still know my talent, and that's why I'm so close with the family, Jay's family, and Anthony, because when Anthony started out on this quest to find out who his uncle was, he had to find out all the people and learn them. And so even when the first time he met me, he was kind of quiet on, I'm doing this project and I want to know more about my uncle. And so at first, he didn't trust anybody. But then after talking to me and knowing, who I am and how I did it and how I gave Jay all the credit for it, which was due. A lot of guys say, "Well, I did this, I did that." No, Jay taught me, and Jay is responsible for my success too.
One of the big things was the Charlie Barron thing, but I think it's really important too that it's stressed how much Jay did and his character as opposed to the character that's been made out of him.
That's what's sad, and you know, uh, people like wanting to write books and stuff like that, but it Anthony, what he's saying is the truth, and you know, I know what happened, and I know a lot of the stuff, and I hear other things, and I know that it's a spin on things. So, shame on them, the people that do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine how you guys feel when with all this stuff, and it just being it's like such a cultural norm now to talk about. It doesn't even feel like a real event, but to you guys it's your life, right? Like it's a big part of your
And the
life.
people, most of them are going now. I was so young; they were already in their 40s and 50s, and they're all up there. Like a guy like Quincy Jones, I saw him at Norman Lear's memorial, and he was in a wheelchair, and now he's gone. Norman Lear's gone. All these, they're just going.
Right. Oh man, yeah. What a thing to live through. Um, did what did because right after everything happened, a lot of celebrities were saying weird things about the scene up at Cielo and Jay and everything. What was that like, and did it catch you off guard?
uh, there were parties at that time, and people, they screen movies and stuff like that. You hear a lot of that, and since a lot of people were up there, people were they were nervous and afraid. Like uh, since I was up there, what if something happens to me? And so nobody really, really knew. You know, a lot of stuff has been written about it. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on. People talking, because a lot of people had been up to that house
Yeah.
before and after, or before Sharon was there and after, and nobody knew. So everybody was, what about this? What about that? What if this? What if that? And there was just talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry this must be upsetting, and I hope that I'm
No, no, no. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Just I'm trying to spark something in my mind. I mean, to recollect. To just to give you the honest, honest perspective or honest answers on it.
absolutely. And yeah,
Everyone was in a daze. They were walking around like zombies almost. Even at the memorial or the funeral,
yeah,
nobody was really talking. They just looked at each other. It's like, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. What the hell is, and nobody really talked.
right.
If you see almost like film of it, which I have, the people that were there,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was just walking like with big eyes and just staring forward and going to their car, not talking to anybody. What were you going to say?
Yeah, of course. Um, after everything happened, Um, was there because there's talk about people going and taking stuff from his house and and coming to check stuff out. Did you find that there was a lot of people trying to get answers from the people who knew him, like you and people like yourself?
The FBI came to see me. The police came to see me because you know, we knew each other close.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they did that to a lot of people. You know,
Yeah.
um, uh, Colonel Tate, that was Sharon's father. He came to see me. You know, to find out if I knew anything of anything or stuff like that. People were just trying to find answers.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about your interaction with Colonel Tate?
It just that he came to the shop with his wife and one of the daughters at that time, and we spoke, and he knew that I knew Sharon. I liked Sharon very much. She was just such a sweet woman, person, and he was kind of at his wit's end. Who did this? What's going on? And he just was trying to find out anything, and so he was going down just almost any avenue to get some type of something. And we spoke, and I told him whatever I knew which I didn't know anything because nobody knew anything yet.
Right.
Then you start hearing things on the news or the newspaper about this or that, and then things are pieced together. But that's really what anybody knew, because if you go back now, all of those actors and that they were saying I should have been there, or I thought I was invited, this or that.
Yeah.
People just said that stuff like that.
Trying to insert themselves in to get some.
Yeah. Even I was on a podcast with Norman Lear and Martin Sheen, and Martin and I are very, very close, and so is Norman. Three of us,
Mm-hmm.
and they got onto that subject because they know I was part of it. And Martin Sheen told Norman, "Well, I remember Joe was supposed to be there," and then I said, "Martin, excuse me, let's get the record straight. I was not. I was with Jay Wednesday, but I was, I didn't know Wojtek, and I didn't know Abigail, or so there wouldn't have been any reason for me to be up at a party, not, and that wasn't even a party. It was, hey, Paul, you want to come over tonight? Or,
Yeah.
watch some movies or something,
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Right. Just
they didn't know the people. They didn't know the people that came, the people that came, Watson and those people, they wanted to get the house, anybody in it.
Yeah.
So they didn't know who was in it.
Yeah, you'd never seen anybody even close to like that around any shops or around Jay at any point before that.
No. I mean, there was guys with long hair that we did, like, I did, the Grateful Dead, and at that time, the long hair was just coming in. Jay did the guys from Jim Morrison, that was long hair.
Yeah.
But a lot of people had long hair.
Yeah, of course. And the did you ever go to any parties at Jay's house during 68 or 69?
Early, I think when he got the house, I forgot exactly what year, but yes, he invited us up. Love the house.
Yeah, it is a beautiful house.
Yeah, all the little nooks and crannies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The swimming pool, and yeah.
Yeah. There was some names that have been thrown around that were people that were hanging around those those places, and I'm curious if you know any of the names, like Pick Dawson or Billy Doyle, or
No, no.
none.